It was almost midnight when the storm raged outside the glass walls of the tall skyscraper in downtown New York. Inside, the entire 40th floor was silent, except for the sound of typing and the low hum of machines. Alexander Knight, the cold and ruthless CEO of Knight Enterprises, sat alone in his office, staring blankly at the financial reports on his screen. His company was worth billions, but his heart felt empty. Power and money had made him distant, emotionless. He had long forgotten what compassion felt like. He leaned back in his chair, rubbing his temples. His employees feared him, his rivals hated him, and the media called him the Ice King. He had everything, except peace. Just as he was about to close his laptop, a faint knock echoed from the glass door. He frowned. No one dared disturb him this late. "Come in," he said sharply. The door opened slowly. To his surprise, a small girl, no older than 7, stood there, drenched from the rain. Her hair clung to her cheeks, her tiny hands clutching a soaked teddy bear. She looked frightened but determined. "Who let you up here?" Alexander asked, his tone cold. The girl's lips trembled, but she stepped closer. "Please, you have to help my mom," she whispered. He blinked, unsure he heard her right. "Your mom, she's hurt," the girl said, her voice breaking. "They hurt her. She's dying." For a moment, the CEO felt something twist inside him, a forgotten feeling. He stood up, his tall frame towering over the child. "Where is she?" he asked. The girl pointed toward the street outside. "In the alley, please, mister. I didn't know where else to go." Without another word, Alexander grabbed his coat and ran after her. His security guards called out, but he ignored them. The girl's small figure led him down the elevator, through the rain, into the cold streets of the city. They stopped behind a convenience store, in a narrow alleyway. There, lying against a dumpster, was a woman, unconscious, bruised, and bleeding. The CEO knelt beside her. "Call an ambulance," he barked at his bodyguard. The little girl knelt beside her mother, holding her hand tightly. "Mommy, wake up. I brought someone to help." Alexander's heart clenched. He gently checked the woman's pulse. It was faint but there. "Stay with me," he muttered. Within minutes, paramedics arrived. The woman was rushed to the hospital, and the girl refused to let go of her hand until the doctors assured her she could follow. Alexander went with them, though he didn't understand why. Something about that child, her courage, her desperation, had shaken something deep within him. At the hospital, the doctor came out after an hour. "She's stable for now," he said. "But she lost a lot of blood. She'll need surgery." The little girl hugged her teddy bear tightly and looked up at the CEO. "Thank you for saving my mommy." Alexander hesitated. "What's your name?" "Lila," she whispered. "And my mommy's name is Clara." He nodded. "You're very brave, Lila." But as he turned to leave, she grabbed his sleeve. "Please, don't go. We don't have anyone else." Her words pierced through him. He had no family either. His parents had died when he was young, and he had buried himself in work ever since. He sighed and sat beside her in the waiting area. Hours passed. Lila fell asleep, her head resting against his arm. Alexander stared at her, wondering why he couldn't walk away. When morning came, the doctor finally said Clara had made it through surgery. She was still unconscious, but stable. Alexander felt relief wash over him, a strange, warm relief. Lila ran into the room as soon as she was allowed. She held her mom's hand and whispered, "Mommy, the nice man helped us. Please wake up." Days turned into weeks. Clara slowly recovered, and Alexander visited often. He brought food, flowers, and toys for Lila. The hospital staff whispered in disbelief. The cold-hearted CEO who never smiled was now spending hours with a poor single mother and her child. When Clara finally woke up, her eyes fluttered open to see her daughter sleeping on the couch and a tall man in a suit sitting by her bed. "Who are you?" she asked weakly. He stood up. "Alexander Knight. Your daughter came to my office the night you were hurt." Her eyes filled with tears. "Lila. She went out alone. She was brave," he said softly. "If she hadn't, you might not be here." Clara tried to sit up, but winced. "Thank you, Mr. Knight. I don't know how to repay you." He smiled faintly, the first genuine smile he'd had in years. "You don't owe me anything." But over time, he found reasons to visit again and again. He helped Clara find a better apartment, arranged for Lila's schooling, and made sure they lacked nothing. Clara, a woman of dignity and pride, tried to refuse at first, but Alexander's sincerity broke through her walls. One afternoon, when Clara was feeling stronger, Alexander came by with a small box. Inside was a bracelet with a silver heart charm. "For Lila," he said. "She saved a life that night, yours." Clara smiled, tears glistening. "She saved too," she whispered. He looked at her questioningly. "You," she said softly. "I can see it in your eyes. You were lost, too." Her words hit him deeper than he expected. Over the following months, the bond between them grew. Lila began to call him Uncle Alex, and soon, even Clara's cautious heart began to open. Alexander found himself laughing, smiling, and caring in ways he never imagined possible. Then one evening, as they had dinner together, Clara's face suddenly turned pale. She clutched her chest, gasping for air. Alexander rushed to her side as Lila screamed. The hospital became their second home again. The doctor's words shattered him. "Her heart is weak. The previous trauma damaged it more than we realized." Alexander refused to leave her bedside. He used every resource, hired the best doctors, and prayed, something he hadn't done in years. Lila stayed beside him, holding her teddy bear and whispering, "Please don't let Mommy go." One night, Clara opened her eyes weakly. "Alex," she whispered. He leaned closer. "I'm here. Promise me you'll take care of Lila, if anything happens." His throat tightened. "Don't talk like that. Promise me." "I promise," he said, his voice breaking. Tears streamed down her cheeks. "You've already given me more than I ever dreamed of. You gave my daughter a chance, and you gave me love." She reached for his hand. "You were meant to find us that night." Before he could reply, the monitor beeped loudly. Nurses rushed in, and Alexander was pulled back as the doctors tried to revive her. He stood frozen, watching the woman who had brought light back into his life fade away. Clara didn't make it. Lila cried for days. Alexander stayed beside her, holding her hand, his heart shattered. A week later, he stood beside Clara's grave with Lila by his side. "She's in heaven now," Lila whispered. He nodded, kneeling beside her. "And she's watching over you. I promised her I'd take care of you, and I will." From that day, Alexander became her guardian. He adopted her legally, gave her his name, and raised her as his own daughter. The once cold CEO was no longer the Ice King, he was simply Dad. Years passed. Lila grew into a beautiful young woman, full